A year ago, I began filming my new movie, Am I Racist? The goal of the movie was to go deep undercover into the world of DEI and show how bad the problem really is. There'll be some moments in the movie that just seem too crazy to be real, but I assure you it's real, and it's been a real problem for quite a while, in fact. To prove to you how big of an issue DEI is, I wanted to take you on a trip down memory lane of some recent real-world examples of anti-white racism. But before we do that, check out the trailer for Am I Racist? Tickets are on sale right now, so visit amiracist.com for more details. Now enjoy the trailer.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up, I never thought much about race. It never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
If I'm gonna sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification.
And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this field.
Is America inherently racist?
The word inherent is challenging there.
I want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument.
America is racist to its bones.
So inherently.
Yeah, this country is a piece of
White.
folks,
White.
trash, white supremacy, white woman, white boy.
Is there a black person around here?
There's a black person right here. Does he not
They gon'
exist?
say I'm racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Matt.
Just had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist.
Buy your tickets now. In theaters September 13th. Rated PG-13.
All right, what else have we got? Another one from Lives of TikTok. Well, not from her, but reposted by her. So here's a TikToker explaining what you need to do if you want to invite your white friend to hang out. So this is really for if you're non-white and you want to bring your white friend along for a hangout session. There's a process that needs to be followed, and let's listen to that.
Controversial opinion, but if you have a token white and you're hanging out with your friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them. Ask for explicit permission from everyone, because just because you're comfortable with them doesn't mean that everybody's comfortable with them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying. And another thing, it feeds into their ego. Like, don't let them think they're a good white person. Don't give them that card to use against other people. Please don't do that.
To me, this doesn't go nearly far enough. And the real problem is that it puts the onus on a member of the BIPOC community to seek permission on behalf of the white friend, which I think is unacceptable. Like what needs to happen is the white friend who wishes to accompany a POC friend to a POC gathering must himself or herself or zerself submit a written request form no less than 14 days before the gathering. This request should be signed, it should be notarized, it should include 3 professional references and 2 personal references. Of course, let's say $135 processing fee as well. That's the bare minimum. There should also be an essay explaining how you are an ally and why you're safe and how it is that you pose no threat to the POC members of the engagement that you're attending. That's what needs to happen. But keep in mind that claiming you're an ally and that you're safe is itself racist, as it denies the reality of inherent white racism and it shows that you haven't really done the work. Of course, if you don't say that you're an ally and that you're safe, then it must also be assumed that you're neither of those things. So you're racist either way. Just remember that. And remember, too, that it's necessary for you to seek permission, yet also seeking permission is racist because it centers you as the white person. It may be best to just, stay at home and try not to hang out. Don't try to hang out with any POC individuals in the first place. Then again, staying home and refusing to congregate with non-white people is segregation and otherization and marginalization, and that's also racist. So to review, seek permission or else you're racist, but don't seek permission because that's racist. Declare yourself non-racist or else you're racist, but also you're racist if you claim to be not racist. Try to be an ally or else you're not an ally and thus you're racist, but also trying to be an ally is racist. I hope this clarifies the situation for everybody. I think the real conclusion here is just to not give the slightest damn if anyone calls you racist. Like that's actually the only way out they've given us. That's the only possible door to take. And so we should gladly say, well, I'll take that option then. Fine with me. Here's the latest from TikTok. This is an anti-white racist who went viral with this temper tantrum about white people. Let's listen.
I call y'all white people for what I see y'all. Y'all are devils. Y'all are parasites. Y'all are mosquitoes. And when you look at a mosquito, you see that mosquitoes latch onto other life forms, drain the blood from that life form to get nutrients so it can power itself. That's exactly what y'all are, because every single thing that y'all do is to drain the life out of everything. And when we look at the advent of y'all devils, since the moment y'all were created, y'all have caused destruction, chaos, and deception on our earth. When we welcome y'all in to our kingdoms, our lands, as eternal people, what did y'all do? Y'all came in, y'all caused destruction, y'all caused altercations amongst us as a people and amongst our civilization. Therefore, we banished y'all, we exiled y'all from the kingdom. This is the true story of the Garden of Eden.
Oh, it's a true story, huh? Yeah, white people caused altercations, but there were no altercations in Africa prior to white people showing up. There were no altercations in the Americas before the Europeans showed up. There were no altercations at all. Because when those cultures were killing and enslaving each other, which they all were, but they did it, I guess, in a peaceful way. It wasn't, kind of like a mostly peaceful BLM riot. There was no altercation involved. I'm not sure exactly how that works. By the way, not to get too technical here, but I'm pretty sure that only female mosquitoes bite and suck blood. So this also strikes me as a sexist complaint from this guy. And white people, though, he says, are parasitic life form, basically, that have brought only misery to the world, which I guess you could see why they would say that. White people are parasites who brought misery to the world by inventing antibiotics, inventing electricity, inventing space travel, the printing press, modern plumbing, computers, almost all of modern medicine, all of the technology that this guy uses to complain about white people, invented by white people. So here's my challenge. And this is serious. This is a real challenge here. For any anti-white racist like this guy, and there are a lot of them out there, here's my challenge. If you're an anti-white racist, I challenge you to go one single day. I mean, even an hour of a day, I would be impressed if you could do that. But let's be ambitious. Go one day without using anything that was given to you by the race of people you despise. One day. Can you do it? I don't think you can, but prove me wrong. We begin today with a viral video from the campus of Arizona State University. The most shocking thing in this footage is that it's not shocking at all. It ought to be. Instead, this is exactly what we've come to expect from college campuses. In the video, two white males are sitting at a table doing schoolwork. They're approached by two female students, both non-white, who inform them that they have to leave the room because they're white. Also because one of them has a Police Lives Matter sticker on his laptop. And his friend sitting across the table is wearing a shirt that says, "Did not vote for Biden," which I can see why you'd want that on a shirt. It is something to be proud of. They weren't standing on the table and screaming these messages. They were rather sitting at an otherwise empty table, minding their own business, causing no disruption of any kind, when they were accosted by the two racist women. Of course, those women felt themselves so justified, or so sure of their own righteousness, that they're the ones who recorded and posted this exchange. Part of their grievance, as you'll hear in the footage, is that the study hall, the area where they are sitting, according to the women, is a multicultural space. Even if that's true, you'd think the word multi would cover the white men, but apparently not. So here's what happened. Watch.
What did I do wrong?
You have a better... You're offensive. Police Lives Matter?
You have the same sticker.
We're just trying to do school.
What?
You guys have the same sticker of the other.
But this is our space.
We've got a Police Lives Matter sticker and we're getting kicked out. Can't do school.
Nobody's kicking you out.
Yeah, you just said we have to leave.
No, I said... You're making the space uncomfortable.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No. No, it's not a culture. White is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
This is insane.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect, okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this.
I'm gonna sit here the whole time and you can find somebody to kick me.
That's cool. We will.
Kicking you out. We're asking you to leave if you have any consideration for people of color and our marginalized.
So clearly don't.
That I can go?
Yeah, the whole rest of the campus, the second floor, the first floor, the whole MU, every single part of the campus centers you. This is the only space that you're not centered, and you're still trying to center yourself, which is peak white cis male bull.
I'm not racist. I'm just studying.
Oh, you're not.
You are racist. Your sticker is racist because police, that's a job. You can choose to be a police. I don't choose to be black.
You know, every time you watch a video with one of these people, you hear the language that they use, and they always use like these certain words, certain language that they use, where the cultish aspect of this really comes through. So they're saying things that make sense in the cult, but they don't even realize that this doesn't mean anything to anyone outside the cult. So they're saying things like, "You're not centered. This isn't a place where you're centered." What? What the hell are you talking about? But this is a religious cult, and it's very similar to, you go to a certain church, or you're around people of a certain denomination, and they're going to speak in certain ways and use certain lingo and use certain words that are familiar to them, and that's common in religions. And the point is that this is a religion. This exchange would go on for several minutes. Eventually, the two guys did get up and leave, which is unfortunate. And we'll dissect the altercation in more detail in a moment. But before we do that, a little more background on the racist shrews behind the camera. They're part of what they call the Multicultural Solidarity Coalition. Yes, a lot of irony in that word solidarity there. That's what solidarity looks like to them. Solidarity is get up and get out of here. On their Instagram page, they explain how this room that they're in was allegedly given to them by the university. Listen.
What's good, y'all? So we're here with the Multicultural Solidarity Coalition, and for over a year, they had us in these meetings over and over and over again. And out of the meeting, they took our 25-page proposal where we asked for a 3-story building, which the student pavilion will do, okay? But what they did in response to that is give us a single room. This is the room that they gave us. Now, while the size, it's okay. We'll take the whole floor, but, it's about care and intentionality. And what you see is they haven't even changed the plaque. They haven't even changed the plaque. So why were we in meetings every single week and you can't change the plaque?
Didn't even change the plaque. I mean, the persecution and oppression that these two poor girls are suffering is really horrible. Pretty unbelievable. They're so persecuted and oppressed that they can harass two white guys on the basis of their race and tell them to leave the room, and they're not going to suffer any consequences for it. And I don't need to say it, but of course I am going to say it, that if we were to change the racial demographics here, switch them around, and play out this same scene again, where it's the guys saying to the girls, "You need to leave," and they ask why, and the guys say, "Well, you're black." I mean, you can't imagine the response to that. I mean, these guys, they'd be arrested on hate crime charges. This would be national news everywhere, so on and so forth. But these girls, they are quite reasonable on second thought. They wrote a long list of demands, 25 pages long, including a demand for an entire 3-story building that they could have for themselves. But they're generously willing to accept a compromise of just one room. A room for multicultural solidarity. Is ASU, are they going to be giving white students a room for white solidarity? Somehow I doubt it. Though really that shouldn't be necessary. Why can't white students go into the multicultural room and take part in this solidarity? Well, as the girl explains, white people don't have a culture. We don't get to have a culture. And that means we don't get to have our own room or even to share their room. Now, is it true? This is kind of an interesting question. Is it true that white people don't have a culture? The race baiters on the other side seem to waffle on this point. One minute they tell us that we have no culture. The next they tell us that we do have a culture. And the hallmarks of that culture are white supremacy, racism, patriarchy, chauvinism, etc. The answer, as far as they're concerned, is that whites are allowed to have a culture whenever it is convenient to them, to the race baiters, for us to have one. The truth, as always, changes according to the needs of the moment. What is the reality, though? Well, let's start with defining our terms, as I like to do. I think it would be fair to define culture as the traditions, arts, social institutions, customs, accomplishments, and heritage of a particular group of people. Maybe we could all agree that's what a culture is. Do white people as a group share traditions, heritage, social institutions, and so on? Well, it's hard to say we do because white is a broad category that encompasses people from dozens of different countries all across the world. Then again, the same can be said for black. That is also a broad category encompassing many millions of disparate people from many different countries and regions of the globe. That means that if you want to refer to culture in a meaningful way, I mean, you could broaden it so much that it doesn't mean it. I mean, you could talk about human culture and talk about the most basic things that all humans have in common. But when you're using it in a way that's as broad as that, it ceases to have any meaning. So if you want to talk about culture in a meaningful way, you have to be more specific. If I wanted to talk about my heritage, I would talk about my ancestors who came from Ireland. That's a cultural heritage, though I'm very far removed from it. I've never even visited Ireland. Really, then, what we should be concerned about is American culture. You know, when someone asks me as a white person, what's your culture? I should be able to say, well, what do you mean? I'm American. My American culture is my culture. I should be able to say that. I can't say that I'm a part of Irish culture. I don't want to say that. I want to say that I am a member of and a participant in American culture because I am American. And America indeed used to have a culture, but today that has been taken over by something that could more accurately be described as, and has been described as, an anti-culture. The women in that video, as far-left activists, are part of the anti-culture. The anti-culture destroys customs and traditions, tears down the statues, erases history, tries to sever people from their heritage. If white people in America today don't have a culture, it's because the very forces that accuse them of not having a culture have intentionally destroyed the culture of which they were once a part. They rip up the history books and demolish the monuments and close the churches and decimate the culture, and then they turn to us tauntingly and say, where's your culture now, huh? So it's true that white people in America as a group don't have a culture. Neither do black people in America. Nobody in this country has a real culture anymore because it's been ripped to shreds by the forces of the anti-culture. Daily Wire Plus members have unlimited on-demand access to our uncensored, ad-free daily shows, real-time breaking news, and investigative journalism. Don't be left in the dark. Join us and join the fight now at dailywire.com/subscribe.